Says left, right, wait, right, left, right, left. What is he saying? We'll always start from the same point. Not actually true. Okay. I'm just trying to ease into, right, the walkie-talkie mode. I'm really trying to ease into this thing. And I have already done so. The problem is, when should I stop? And what is actually retirement? Because if you look at the word, you may once again realize that the word in itself, it's just a shell. And it depends on what you fill it with. And there are people that, you know, fill words with meaning, such as the word solidarity, right? I mean, everybody was so confused about the meaning of the word solidarity. They suggested that it means, you know, just doing what everybody else does. You know, that's what they tried to push on us, right? I mean, who's they? You know, everybody. I mean, what's solidarity, you know? It's getting something you don't want, or doing something you don't want for the benefit of everyone else. But if doing what you think I should do comes with the cost of feeling raped and used and, you know, disgusted by my own weakness, then I think I'd rather say no. And then you see the word solidarity suddenly transform itself, you know, into just whatever. You know, it's just a reason. You know, if they won't do it because, you know, we apply pressure, you know, let's bring in the social aspect, you know. Why would people refuse this thing? You know, why would people refuse this thing? And then you say, well, because they haven't got enough pressure yet. Well, how do we make more pressure? You know, just by giving you the feeling that if you don't do it, right, you're a real prick. I mean, you're gonna look really stupid. You know, that's the kind of angle that solidarity is coming from, because nobody that isn't trying to push an agenda would ever use the word solidarity. It's an empty word. And, you know, you could say it comes from solid, but it's just a word. I mean, every word is empty. And that's basically, in its essence, language, right? Speaking is completely empty. You know, I could just film myself, and if you would know how to read truth, you know, I can try, but I know how all of you are just clinging to words. You know, please say something. You know, I've tested it. You know, there are things that just need to be said because people are too stupid to hear it or let's say they're too full of themselves also, right? Running around like, you know, you own the place, running around like it's your street, it's your city, it's your right to drive around angry in a car. You know, it's your right to drink another coffee, you know, because I paid for it. So, you know, I have the right to have a cell phone because other people have it. And I have the right because I pay for it with money. And so, you know, I think it's okay that there's people that have to, you know, I don't know, dive into mines and basically live like orcs. I mean, so that I can have a cell phone. I mean, he probably won't be able to afford one, which is ridiculous, but I'm having it. I mean, what? And then you've got a giant brand, you know, I don't know what, you know, call it Pfizer, call it Apple. You know, it's just this giant brand that sits there and says, you know, I think it's okay to exploit people so that I can get richer. Now you can ask yourself, okay, what are you talking about? Well, I'm just trying to understand whether what I'm doing, you know, is, you know, still in line with what I think I started to do, you know, because I'm trying to inspire people, but I also realize, okay, where's the money coming from? You know, I certainly seem to think that in order for me to work, now it's the uncomfortable place again. You know, I walk here and it suddenly gets uncomfortable. You know, it's just this, I just forget sometimes that I have a camera. And then I remember why I walk here is because there's more cars driving. And apparently the challenge, you know, first of all, the challenge of continuing to simply walk and do your thing and focus entirely, you know, see, that's the problem. I cannot entirely focus only on the camera. I also have to look at, you know, what's happening around me, and that's basically, you know, you lived in the matrix, you were taken out of it, and now you go back into it. So what's the matrix? The matrix, you know, I mean, what is it? It's just something that's just happening, and there's no point to it. I mean, what is really happening is that things are happening. And I just walk around here and, you know, there's a lot of electric cars, and you think, you know, what's the point to them? And what's the point to electric cars? What's the point to anything anybody is doing these days? Like, people sitting in their cars being bored and watching someone else filming himself and basically talking to himself. I mean, that makes no sense. And, you know, I'm just drawing a lot of attention to the fact, you know, that I managed to stand tall with a camera and a beard and no shoes and this ridiculous kind of jacket, and, you know, with this cap and just myself, and I can just stand here and put it out all in the open. And that's just weird, because nobody does that. Nobody stands here with a camera. I mean, according to most people's, you know, ideas about how life is supposed to be or should be, you know, I should feel at least a little bit ashamed. And I can feel it, you know, sometimes as a kind of a hotness in my head. And I used to have this as a child a lot, that I felt like, you know, there was like heat coming up from the back of my spine, and then it was rising up the back of my head, and then it's like, I don't know, it just exploded. And the question is why, you know, things would explode like that. Well, I don't know actually. I mean, doctors said, you know, it's like growth spasms. Growth spasms. What the fuck does that mean? Well, it means nothing. What are growth spasms? Well, you know, it's just nothing. You know, they explain things to you that make no sense. You know, it's energy. Where does it come from? Well, I'm an angry kid, man. Don't you get it? I mean, it's anger. It's rising up my spine. There's a blockage. It just breaks through. So this stuff has been happening already all my life. You know, I'm a channel for energy, and it's been happening already all my life. But everybody failed to see it. And then you can ask yourself, well, maybe they knew, they just couldn't tell me because they were lacking the skills to, let's say, recreate themselves through words. Because if you speak words from a place of truth, you can actually recreate yourself. You can actually recreate yourself. And that's a fact. I mean, when your words come from a place of truth. So if you could go to a therapist and you would speak truth, which you don't, because you go there and you say what you think he wants to hear, because he's your therapist. You have a certain idea about what therapists, you know, what a session looks like. So you go there and you basically play the role of the patient while the therapist plays the role of the therapist. While, you know, what both of you forget is that you are at the same time patient and therapist. You're just looking for the therapist outside of yourself. And the therapist, you know, self-proclaimed, you know, because just because he got a certificate, he doesn't have the right to call himself a therapist. Because the word therapist gives a certain idea about what's going to happen. You know, it's going to be therapy. But then you have to ask yourself, well, what's therapy? Well, I don't know, because it's a word, right? So it's your own ideas about what therapy is supposed to be like. And if you feel like you've just been sitting in an office and every day you come and you just talk about the same things and it's just not giving you any progress, I suggest you start listening to Ram Dass a little, because he used to be a therapist. I mean, now he's, you could say, dead. Well, he lives on through his work, you know, and that's a nice thing. Nice thing. You know, I don't want to be stupid. I'm not an idiot. I don't have to study therapy to know that, you know, certain kinds of therapy aren't really therapy. You know, I don't quite you know, it's like, you know, these electric scooters, and one just drives basically on, it's not a highway. I mean, I think you can drive 50 or 60 here, but just the, you know, he's driving with this little scooter that goes maybe 20. I mean, I could be faster with a bicycle, just a normal bicycle. I would be way faster than this guy on his expensive, ridiculous scooter. And he just drives, I mean, just because he has a number plate, a license plate, I mean, does he really have to ride next to all these cars? I mean, isn't there a part in him that's thinking, maybe I should have taken the pedestrian walk or the sidewalk or whatever, you know? But now I feel like I have to keep going like this. Well, to me it was probably that moment, right, where you just, you know, do something that you know, maybe you shouldn't do it. I mean, you have second thoughts, and then you go through and do it anyway. I mean, I'm just saying, there are things that you sometimes want to feel or want to be curious about. You know, it's probably like this idea of a threesome, right? You think how nice it would be. Oh yeah, you know, 2 women. It's like, woo! Yeah, which are you gonna focus on? Which woman are you going to focus on? I mean, I assume it can work if both women would be okay to share. But how many women have you met that would allow such a thing to happen? I mean, most women that I meet, they're just as greedy as I am. They don't want to share. I mean, they don't want to share. They don't want to have another woman sitting on the table. And the question comes, why not? Well, because to me, I mean, if there'd be a woman that could have several men and satisfy them all, right? Just be there and satisfy them all. You know, I'd just be one of them, so I'd never sit there. Which is why I have no interest in women that just, you know, that really don't care, basically. I mean, who of the five are you going to like best? Like, let's say you have 2 women or 5 women. Who of these women are you gonna like best? I mean, there was this movie called The Woman King. I watched it in the movie. It's about Africa or something. There was this king and he was like, oh, of course. I mean, that's not how a king looks like. I mean, that's just an actor. So don't go projecting your idea. I mean, a real king that's like, I mean, that's a real man. Or a real lunatic, you know, it's hard to say, but you don't have kings like the ones you see in movies. Because who was Masala in Ben-Hur, right? He was just an actor, right? And Marilyn Monroe was just an actress. I mean, she wasn't, you know, whatever. She was an actress. And, you know, I don't know all of these things. I just know that if I see the guy, and okay, you know, there are weird people. I mean, let's talk about, I mean, that's a good point. I'm just having a conversation again by myself, actually. So that's a very valid point. You know, think about it. Just think about how would it be if, you know, it would be like in Rick and Morty, blah blah, you know, just don't talk to me anymore then, you know. If you don't want to talk to me, nobody's forcing you, you know. I don't have to talk to anybody, you know. If you talk with me, I'm hearing a million voices, just try to be nice, yeah? I mean, I'm talking to people that just act like they're the super villain, and I realize, well, you're not, you know? You're just a pussy like everyone else. Because if you have the time to sit around and have conversations like this, then you certainly have the time to take off your shoes and go barefoot hiking, right? If you want to worship something, I don't know, start worshiping your feet. But not in a, oh, you know, super soft and manicure. No, just earn your right. I mean, the gods are hardened beyond belief. I mean, they're indestructible. If you want to have feet like a god, you have to work for it. I mean, if you want to have the body of a god, you have to work for that as well. And if you want to have whatever of a god, the mind of a god, then you have to work for that. I mean, you have to have sharpened skill. I mean, gods never commit suicide. I mean, that's just how it is. You know, not even the god of death, because he likes his occupation, right? I mean, he likes his occupation, right? He likes his occupation. I mean, that's my job, isn't it? It's like, oh wow, you know, for the rest of my life I'm gonna be the god of death. You know, better settle in now. Because who are you in this manifestation? You know, I don't like all these words. Because the fact, like, as a matter of a fact, you're here. As a matter of a fact, you know, facts matter. Wait a second. Yeah. I don't know. Okay. I don't know, right? I just have ideas in my mind, and then you try to realize them. There's always something holding me back. I fucking hate it. You know, I don't want to go. But sometimes I just have to get things done with. You know, I don't even know what I'm supposed to get done with. All I know is that there are things that I have to get done. You know, sometimes I just have to go somewhere, upload some images, and then, I don't know, take a hike another day. I mean, today I'm just walking as fast as I can, you know, but actually relax. I didn't want to take the camera, but here I am. Because apparently, you know, what's your profession? It's like, who, right? So, you know, if you're gonna be a YouTube content creator, you have to ask yourself, you know, how far are you gonna push this thing? Are you gonna continue every day a video? I mean, isn't that a bit ridiculous? I mean, Who's gonna watch all of that stuff? And for how long are you gonna keep doing this? I mean, does it really matter? Because not everyone's gonna watch something every day. Or maybe tomorrow you check and you think, oh, that's nice. Or maybe you check at the end of the week and then you have like a number of 7 videos. And that's actually quite nice. I mean, we have quite full schedules, but if you know, oh, that guy's gonna deliver, the god of death is certainly gonna deliver, probably, unless you know, I think, well, there's a possibility that you can actually stay alive. So we shouldn't hold on to all of these concepts about how long life is, how old are you, because if we should have learned anything, it's that time is relative, which means no number you pin onto your head and say, that's how old I must be, because, people said I was born then. It's not gonna give you anything. Year after year you may think you collect presents, but it's actually, it's just like, yeah, another part of me just died. While with me, it feels like, I mean, yeah, sure, parts die. That's certain, because sometimes things are gone. But other things, I put in the work, right? In my walking skills. I mean, I've been walking a lot, but I have days where I just don't want to walk anymore. I mean, not just days, sometimes I walked so much for 2 weeks that I just say, I'm just gonna stop for some time. Just long enough for me to feel like walking again. So right now I feel like I'm somewhere, drizzling or sizzling. I'm like that last piece of bacon that's still in the frying pan and nobody wants to eat it. And I don't even understand where this, image comes from. It's just this sad last piece of bacon. That's how I feel like, basically. No woman wants to touch me. No woman wants to cuddle with me and, snuggle and like, ooh, it's so nice. Ooh, it's so nice. And you think, well, maybe there's one, right? I mean, there has to be one. I mean, it can't be that there's none. And I'm not so stuck up on, I don't want to worship old men. Like, what did Ram Dass go and worship old man for? I mean, when I started listening to Ram Dass, that's the one thing where I thought, oh my God, I hope it's not going to be like this. You actually don't know what you're getting. So if you get an old man that just sits around and throws apples at you, and forces you to do things to get into his love space, into his energy, you just have to suck up to it, Well, you just think, well, to me, that's better than working for Harvard, is what Ram Dass probably said. I'd rather do this because here I can sit around and smoke if I want to. And then this guy comes and says, you can't touch money. And it's like, what? And the question is, why would you listen to him? And then you say, because his presence is overwhelming. And then you think, well, who am I in all of this? Maybe whoever Maharaji is, thinks I'm his guru. It's possible. I mean, do you think he's sitting around thinking, oh, I'm all these people's gurus? Or maybe he thinks, I feel like I'm the real prick here and I just act like a real ass because, why don't you just run away from me? Just run away from me. But they just don't do it. I mean, they do it, but they don't do it. Right? I mean, nobody comes to you if you really want someone to come. Well, that's not entirely true. I mean, I can sit and I could, if I'm strong enough, I can pull you into my presence. But I can also feel where you are and then be there at the right moment. But the question is, how do I know that it's you I'm feeling? I could be feeling anyone. I'm just feeling something, and that's often the predicament I have, and also a lot of experiences that I made. They were mostly about, okay, let's see. Yeah. Let's see. What's this gonna be? You know, I found someone, or I found something, first in myself and then outside of myself. So you first find some kind of resolution, such as, you know, the next woman, you know, I'm just gonna give you what I had. The next woman I'm gonna sleep with is gonna be my wife. You know, you just nailed yourself to the cross, man. You just, you know, you just said, I'm gonna pin myself down. And I just gonna give up. I mean, the next woman I sleep with, and then one woman came and I rejected her, even on mushrooms, together alone in a tent. You know, she thought, oh, we're gonna, you know, now it's gonna happen. And I just completely rejected her. I mean, she probably had all these things in her mind, you know, yeah, he's gonna suck up to me now. You know, that's what she wanted. She wanted a sucker. You know, she wanted someone, you know, she just wanted to lay on her back, you know, and pull her shirt up. And she thought, oh wow, he's gonna dig in, you know, have a feast. And I said, no. Sorry, but what's this? I mean, what you were showing to me was basically something different. You were trying to show me that you are a bit like me. And now I have to see that you have absolutely no depth. I mean, with all the books you've read, there's not an inch of wisdom in you. And you tried to get me to sleep with you because I'm telling you, women can feel if a man is ready to make a choice. And then they present themselves. And I've never made the choice. I've never made the choice before. And then I made it, and then I thought, well, what does that mean? Well, my feeling, you know, I was in bed with a woman. Normally I would have had sex, but I said no. But the next one I met, it wasn't actually the next one, but it was the next one, and I don't know, to me I felt like, I don't know, something clicked. I didn't question it, you know, it just happened. And in the end I said, you know, okay, you know, do you want to sleep with me? There was an agreement, it happened. And what's that? I mean, that's that. I mean, what happens? You know, I said then at one point, I'm just gonna be open about these things because I really hate keeping a secret because it makes no sense. And then I said, you know what? You know, yeah, we had a heated argument because that's how things usually were. And I said, you know, if it's not you, it will not be anyone else. And that's true. But there are several reasons why this is actually true. And one of these reasons is that I was just sick of looking. Plus, more reasons will follow probably. You know, I also had enough of bullshit. So when I found one where I thought, yeah, I'm gonna nail you, you know, to my cross so we can hang here together, you know, enjoy. You know, it's gonna be a feast. Because if somebody blames me, you're gonna feel it basically exactly the way I'm feeling it, you know, and everybody will know. You know, that's not what I thought back then. I thought nothing. You know, I just did what I felt was right. I was in this moment, and then it was over. And all I had was this feeling of, I thought this was supposed to be nice, right? I thought, oh wow, you know, this is really it. You know, this is supposed to be nice, you know, that's what you're being left with. And then you realize, and now it's gone. And then you can sit there like, ah. You know, I don't remember which anime. Somebody was crying a lot. It's actually amazing how well you can hear myself with all this noise going on around. You know, I sometimes can't hear my own voice when I talk. But at least I prepare myself. You know, that's what it means to go on an honest walk. You just take the time and you just let it all out. You just continue speaking, and you just make sure that there's someone on the other line listening in with you, because that's basically what YouTube does in a way. I mean, if I would just record myself and really do it raw, I mean, I'm weighing some of the words, because with my mind I'm already a step further in the conversation, which is why I can't continue to talk and at the same time ask these questions, right? I just continue to ask these questions, and I continue to ask these questions, and I continue to ask these questions, and then I continue to have answers. You know, if there's a question such as who are you in my life, I mean, I'm just asking that with the image. You know, that's like the pendulum, right? That's like the pendulum. And it's swinging, you know, you hold it above something and then you say, okay, who are you? You know, is this a yes, is this a no? And then the pendulum or whatever just starts to swing. But what most people fail to realize is that in the end, wherever the pendulum swings, it's also your feeling and your heart's desire that basically shapes or the path of the pendulum, you know. And then, you know, people do like a reading, then they say like this, you know, they just scheme you. I mean, sure, it can happen. I think it can work, but what I learned is that most people, they're too attached to their desires, which is why they ask a question and they let the pendulum swing, you know. So the fortune teller can just tell you what she thinks you want to hear so that you will be satisfied and give her a lot of gold. But if it happens in such a way, the only thing you have in the end is a bitter taste, because now you gave a lot of money for something, but you actually don't really believe in it because it was never true in the first place, right? Because if something is really supposed to happen, it's just gonna happen. And you don't have to go to fortune tellers, you don't have to know anything, it's just gonna happen. But if you have a very complicated, let's just call it destiny, because, I mean, let's face it, you know, it isn't all random. I mean, that's at least what I think, because otherwise, how would it work to be given visions and then to act upon them, right? If, you know, that's the only reason why I think there's something like random destiny, right? That's just, you know, it's like destiny, but destiny doesn't like to be meddled with. So it's just gonna make sure it's only give you enough information, you know, to keep you longing for more. I mean, like, I always liked attention, and when I received the vision of, you know, sitting in front of an audience and speaking, you know, just like I'm speaking now, I actually thought, you know, I can do that. It's like, yeah, no problem, you know. I like attention, you know, I'm just gonna go all out now, you know. And then you either think like this, or you think, well, that looks like hell. To me, it looked like heaven. Because if I can just sit there and everybody shuts up and I can just stand there and talk, and then even, you know, like pick out people and involve them or something, you know, that's all I have to do, I think. I just have to figure it out on the inside and then project it in whatever way I want onto the outside. And that's actually something I've really been struggling with for some time now, because, you know, you start to overthink. You know, you just start to overthink. Wait, is this like, wait, left or right now? You know, which path am I supposed to take? You know, where is this going for myself? I mean, there's so much fear lurking around, and sometimes you realize that instead of saying, okay, that's, you know, this is, you I have to be afraid of this person because we spend some times together at night in the park, and now there's fear. So the question is this really the fear, you know, you have to be concerned about? Or is this the kind of fear that just says, I think that person is afraid that he overreacted a little, you know? It's like, just like his self-image. You know, wait, that's how I look like? I mean, that's the feeling I give others if I behave the way I am? Well, I mean, you've just been living your life running around like a god. I'm indestructible. Well, just because nobody came to kill you yet doesn't mean you're indestructible, man. It just means that nobody, you know, you just didn't piss off anyone enough yet. Well, maybe do it then. Because, I mean, Chris Webster, he sings about these things. And I, for years, basically was afraid of people storming into my place or just abducting me. I mean, yeah, they could never do it, and that's the problem. Because I think I would pay attention to this, right? I think I would pay, you know, that's just my perfect ideal, you know? Yeah, I would pick up on it, you know? You know, I would know, right? Yeah, I don't think I would. Because I'm afraid of so many ridiculous things that, you know, I still check. I mean, I'm just checking. Because let's say there's a gathering of people here, and these people are like strong-built males that know how to protect themselves and that are willing, at least to a certain degree, debris, just random debris I found in the carpet. I have no idea what humans eat. That's the best line of Bird Person for sure. You know, I have no idea what humans eat. What am I eating here? Just crumbs, something? I don't even know what Morty says. And then Bird Person comes and says, it's just random debris I found in the carpet. I have no idea what humans eat. It's like, thanks, you know. I had a feeling it might be this. And, you know, that's when you sometimes meet women, you know, and, you know, they really want to be, you know. But let's just think about spirit, you know. What's spirit? You know, we all get a little bit confused about spirit, because spirit never ages. Right? I mean, my spirit is the same it has always been. I can just identify with dark parts, and I can identify with light parts. You know, I can identify with dark parts, and I can identify with light parts. You know, I can identify with all kinds of things. But when it comes down to it, you know, my spirit is always the same. It's always been like this. It's always been the same. I assume it may appear in different shapes. I think I've been doing work like this already for quite some time, in different ages, different times, maybe even simultaneously. But that's all just speculations. Because again, if it comes down to it, you know, I'm here and I'm doing this. You know, I'm the guy who's lying in the room. Or laying, I don't know, this weird word, right? It's like a lie and to lie. To lie down. It's like, why are these words the same? I mean, you see, it's just words. It's just words. I don't know what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know what I'm saying because I don't know what you're listening to. You may be listening to information about, you know, how to have sex with more women, and then you think, oh, maybe he's gonna give that to me, but he won't, because that's not what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about, you know, is it possible to just be with one woman, you know, from a certain point on, and actually make it work, even if there are differences, simply because you believe that whatever vision you received, or whatever choice you made, or whatever words you spoke, There is a meaning to it as long as you align your actions alongside it. So just saying, you know, if you only say the next woman I sleep with is gonna be my wife, well then she won't be. Because in order for someone, you know, for some woman to be your wife, you'd actually have to treat her like that. And now the question is, well, how do I know that she wants to be my wife? Well, you could ask her. Then the question is, well, that means nothing, you know? So you just have to be honest about it. I mean, I had to go through several relationships, and as much as I claim, you know, I could be anywhere, you know, I'm still here. You get it? I'm still here. So just thinking that I could be anyone and anything, but I'm not. You know, I'm exactly like this. You know, I've tried to change what I wanted to do, and I just couldn't do it. And if you think about it, I mean, Ram Dass was a therapist, and he got sick of it. But what did he do in the end? Therapy. You know, just like different. So he felt like, I think there has to be something else. And then he started looking for it. And psychedelics certainly showed him something. So now you can ask your question, you know, is it better? Was it better what he did? Well, I learned from it. Well, is that better? Well, I don't know. I just learned from him because he talks about what he's going through. And then you think, maybe I could do the same. But now the other question arises. How many people would think like I do, and they listen to Ram Dass and they get this inner feeling that's what I could do? Because I don't know anyone who's really doing this. I mean, I met people who started, but they stopped. And I started and I just continued. You know, it's like, you know, I listen to Chris Webby a lot, and I've said that. And then you listen to him and you think, oh gee, I wish I could make music like that. But I can't, because it's his music. Every time I try to make music, it comes out the way that it comes out. And in a way, it's just so frustrating, but you know, it's just the way it is. Maybe I've just created a new way of making music, because seriously, I mean, it's not for me. I mean, I just needed to get it out of my system. And I think I just had to speak about these topics, because that helped me to become more light. And there are times where I feel so light. I mean, it's incredible. I mean, I just lay down at night and I close my eyes and the room is dark, but what I see is a white light bulb. It's like my mind is just turned on. And that is after having also sometimes smoked or drank or whatever. It's just there, you know. And in German, you know, we say, or people say, you know, somebody has his light turned on when he's drunk. Du hast die Lampe an. So where does that come from? I mean, you can drink yourself into heaven, and you can eat yourself there. It's just a matter of, are there other methods to get to heaven? Like, could I get there in a different way? Like, could I get to heaven simply by saying, you know, like by changing my habits? Maybe I used to get to heaven by getting off on, I don't know, eating chips and watching TV. You know, could I get to heaven by going for a hike and just drinking one beer, for instance? You know, like, could I replace the watching TV with the going hiking? It's definitely possible. Plus, it makes you stronger. Like, it builds you up. It raises your confidence. And if you do so in bare feet, I would say, you know, it all does all kinds of things. You know, now that's what I mean. I haven't actually talked about it. How time-consuming society is, and how it actually slows down time. You know, I can literally feel it when I'm walking through nature. You know, it's like I'm just rushing through, you know, time and space. And I can do so also in my mind. But as soon as I go through a city, you know, it's like cities consume time. And that's what Momo is about, right? When you're in nature, time flows slower. But cities basically attract time so that they can make progress. Now, I've never thought of it like that, but it makes absolute sense. I mean, humans have to get together in great numbers, and then they basically do build a time machine. So if you're, you know, living in these kind of, let's call it just barbaric huts and stuff, and humanity thinks, I think we have to work ourselves out of this. All you have to do is create huge settlements and attract a lot of people, because that attracts a lot of energy, and that will help you to boost through. So if you want to do something in your life and you feel like you need support, well, the way to do it at the moment, I assume, is to just show yourself on the internet and then let the people pick who they like. You know, I thought about, you know, I could stand around and give a speech somewhere in the city, but there's no interest. Why? Because people are too insecure to actually show. Cheers, man. I don't need your fucking favor, man. You know, I'm standing here for a reason. You know, I think I'm actually doing you a favor by walking barefoot here. Because you may just realize I don't need your favor. You know, I'm just standing here. I'm not looking at you. Just continue. I don't know. It's just part of it. Sometimes you just like to ignore people. I mean, I have opinions about people. It's not that I don't have them. Like, if I see someone driving around in a Porsche, I think, what a douche. But I also may think, oh, nice. But the thing is, you know, Porsche is supposed to make the car look, it's like super fancy and super expensive, but it's just the same thing. You know, it's just the same thing. It's just a car. And that's the same thing with the certificate. I mean, you go and then somebody gives you a piece of paper or a certificate online, or, you know, NFT art, you buy NFT art. And then you think like, oh wow, you know, I'm super good. And then it comes to the point and you say, I'm still human, right? It's like, I don't know what you've been smoking. I don't know what you've been eating, you know? But, you know, whatever you're talking about doesn't sound like it makes a lot of sense. I mean, what's HHC? It's like, what is this stuff? Well, I don't know. But it did make a lot of art. I mean, I don't know what it is. I think it's a channel to myself. I think it's a placebo. It's something that helps me believe. It's also something that you could say I'm doing because, you know, it gives people the feeling they could do it as well, which is true to a certain degree. But you can only make that much art if you have experienced life in a completely different way from what you were born into, and then experienced feelings and emotions for very long times and then trying to express them through art. And the only way that works is just by sitting down and just putting onto the paper what wants to be on the paper. You know, you don't claim that you're doing this because you realize that for whatever reason you need to smoke in order to let go. Because you have no time, because I live in a city. I mean, I'm feeding the internet. That's a short-lived. Like, the internet is probably the most short-lived thing we've ever created. You know, it's just like, let's work ourselves out of this mess. And what that means is, well, what's gonna happen then? Well, I can tell you what's gonna happen. We're going to progress. And at one point, I assume electricity will fall away, and maybe it's gonna be like in that movie Her. Right, maybe it's gonna be like in that movie Her. And everybody's gonna walk around and they're just gonna have conversations with AIs or whatever. Would it be so hard? I mean, one of simply the most problems that I feel exist is sometimes because of communication between people. You know, people want to express something, but they can't. Because other people won't let them. Because if they express what they feel, then others have to deal with it as well. So they simply shut it out, right? I mean, it's exactly what happened. I mean, states come, they tell you what to do, right? Let's say they jab something into your left foot because they say you have to have it, and everybody thinks, oh wow, this is what we need, we really have to work together now. You know, it's like this big wave of I don't know what, and we need this to survive, you know, to avert the zombie apocalypse. And then you realize, well, that is what creates the zombie apocalypse. So you have inanimate people who are so full with toxins, they can't even, you know, they can't really move. But what they can do is sit around and just feel terrible about themselves. Oh, yeah. And that's basically all there is to it. I mean, people's emotions are being harnessed by movies. So it's telling people this is what you need. You know, you just have to keep breathing through the fear, and that's what I've been doing now for months, if not years. So I was diagnosed with asthma, and I realized that there's no truth behind it. Just nobody ever taught me how to breathe. Because you just breathe, you know, you observe others. Everybody's kind of short on breath. And smoking gives me a reason to inhale deeper. So, you know, what makes sense? Well, what makes sense is to just figure it out for yourself. I mean, that's a fact. You know, I keep doing weird things in the name of love. I keep going to places. I keep visiting people. And I still have this kind of bitterness about it. I mean, who am I even doing that for? For the promise of a woman, if all of this is done, you know, like done deal, you know, I'm gonna be as good as I can be, and for that I'm gonna have a woman that's gonna shower me with love and children, you know, that run around like little piglets, like it's like already that thought is enough to sometimes make me feel like, oh my god, I mean, that's what that's what life is about. It's just like popping out piglets, and then just, I mean, think about it. your parents had you, you know, they basically could control everything. They could control if you should have you know, if you should have diapers, you know, wet diapers or dry diapers. You mean they can control that? You know, should my child feel hot or cold now? You know, they can control that. You get to sleep now. I mean, a mother can just, you know, just because maybe she doesn't want to spend time with her husband, or she just likes spending time with her son, you know, she just wants to have him to herself. And then she's just gonna say, yeah, he doesn't want to sleep. And then every time she puts him to bed, she accidentally wakes him up. Oh, what a coincidence. Yeah, you know, now I have to, you know, stay up late. Can't go back to bed with my husband, you know. I mean, maybe they know inside is something else. But to be honest, I doubt it. Because if they did, they would probably treat their child differently. I mean, I treat children completely different. Most people are just condescending, you know, they try to look down because it makes them feel powerful. What they don't realize is the child has you by the balls. Because if he won't talk to you tomorrow, you're just gonna be like, nah, he doesn't like me anymore. Oh, why is he so different today? You know, people walk around instead of just opening up to the dog, and the dog can come to you, and then you pat the dog, or you just, you know, give the dog room to just, you know, feel like he's being taken care of, you know? That's how you should make a dog feel. But most people, they get dogs just to make themselves feel better, right? So that they can look at this little thing that runs around and be happy. You know, there isn't an inch of happiness in most people. So they get the dog and they try to take care of that. But what you have to realize is that you have to take care of the dog. I mean, you have to take care of the dog. I mean, do you get that? If you have a child, you know, there are children where you literally feel how they try to take care of their parents. I mean, I've had children guide me to visit their parents just because they felt like, or maybe they just wanted to play, but there was a pleading kind of thing where a child knows, I think you can help here, which is something the parents might not be able to see, you know. But then you don't know, right? You just have a feeling, you go there and then you let go. You don't know what you're going to do, because